Hello everyone, you are watching OBN Horn of Africa. This is a special edition. Today we will discuss reforms undertaken in Ethiopia and different aspects over the last 6 years. To discuss these issues, I joined by His Excellency Ambassador of Ethiopia to Pakistan, Ambassador Jemal Beker. Ambassador, thank you for your time.
I really appreciate Fikadu. Good to see you after a long time.
Okay, thank you. Let me begin with this question. In your view, what forced the political change that took place in Ethiopia in 2018?
Thank you, Fikadu. This is a basic question, actually. And first of all, let me just congratulate for, His Excellency Dr. Abiy Ahmed for taking the helm of Ethiopia for the last 6 years. And, he's an engine and a driving force for Ethiopia's reform so far. What forces Ethiopia, to reform? I think in my perspective, it is important to consider 3 factors. Let's think Ethiopia for the last, standing on 2018, for the last, 30 years, Ethiopia was led by, EPRDF at that time. So one factor that led is our people has been increased, the population is increased, the aspiration, the demand, the need of the people is changing over time also. So the failure to address the aspiration, the demand of the people is one factor that push. The second is also regional and international context, which was changed, especially in the last, 2-3 decades, the, development at regional, international, where, the international became very integrated and a lot of, revolution, especially in the technology side, which is sharing of information from one to the other. So the state control of our information has been completely changed. This is also another pushing factor. The third one is a reformist, within the party who want to change also, meet the aspiration of our people, understand also the geopolitical change at regional and international level, who capture this one and take, present to that, so that, who has saved our country from disintegration. So I can say these 3 factors has been a force that has, pushed the reform in our country. So what kind of reform is happening in our country? We need to understand also. Our country has conducted in the last, 50, 60 years. One is revolutions. We have been doing revolution. Derg, which is one revolution. EPRDF came revolution. So we destroy and, we begin from zero. That's for a nation building. It is, it is always very imperative for any nation. If you look at how nations evolve and become a robust state, it is through reform. So the reformist government who understands the context of Ethiopia very well and take the situation and, put our countries into a reform, circle where the aspiration, the end goal of the reform is to ensure Ethiopia's prosperity, equality, ensure democracy at large. So it is also good to understand the feature, the salient feature of Ethiopia's reform are one other things. One of the salient features of Ethiopia's reform is it has got 4 pillars. One is out of which is it based on collaborative and synergy based on the philosophy of Madamar, which is always avoiding conflicts, friction, rather also encourage collaborations, cooperations, synergy among people. So unity in diversity that will ensure so the prosperity, peaceful Ethiopia exists through collaborative, inclusive decision-making process. The second salient feature is also important to understand, the feature of party, which is attracting reformers. The second is also the people who was pushing. The third is a constitutional order that has been taking place. As I try to state, the party within the party of EPRDF was led by, the prime minister, our current prime minister, who has advocating the reform, which was also a good, force for changing in that aspect. The second is public at large, who was an inception supporter, owner of Ethiopia's process of change. So they are also instigating changes in Ethiopia. The third one is a constitutional, trying to establish, Ethiopia's unity in politics and economy, one political economic society of Ethiopia. The third, feature is also, which is trying to consider expanding and capitalizing on the, success story of the past, resolving, the wrong or shortcoming, and building the Ethiopia who belongs to the future generation, also that maintain and protect the national interest of Ethiopia. So this is another factor. The fourth one is strategic and tactical, which achieves to build a very inclusive, robust political system. So our reform end goal is, at the end of the day, to ensure prosperous Ethiopia, which also has its right position in this changing global dynamism.
Thank you, Ambassador. So how has the political landscape in Ethiopia changed since 2018?
We as I've said, Ethiopia have seen, let's say, the previous revolution, dark revolutions, EPRDF revolutions, current also, the reformist government is starting in 2018. What they try to address, let us see, in Ethiopia, especially, there are grand three issues that need to be addressed. One is the economic issue, which is related to the land. Economy, land, as you see in Ethiopia, is very vital, goods. So this, land issue, more or less, it has been addressed during the DERG, which is land for tiller. The second issue, which is almost Ethiopia's, that has kept since, the 1960s, is the ethnic issues, right of the ethnic. So during the APRDF regime, through the approval of Ethiopia's federal constitution, that have, protected and enshrined the ethnic nationalities of people. So the revolution of during the APRDF have addressed this ethnic issue, more or less. The third point, which the other two revolution and the others governance never have tried, is democracy. Democracy in Ethiopia is a matter of existential. So one of the issues that the reform is trying to address is democratizations, building a democratic environment where all, the economic, the ethnic issues, the political issues, the social issues, the economic issues, without addressing the democracy, we cannot address the other issue. So a reform government boldly takes measures that enhance, build, based on homegrown philosophy. One of the economic, the issue of the Ethiopia's democracy we're building is called consociational democracy. Consociational democracy has got 4 pillars in itself. One is grand coalition, in which, all the stakeholders in a very inclusive manner bring all the stakeholders to be a part of decision-making, through inclusive decision-making, so that Ethiopia will look like Ethiopians. That is one, the democracy we're building, one component. The second is proportional representations. So as Ethiopia is a federal state, all the federal state has to have also proportional representation in the federal institutions, all those processes. The third one is segment autonomy. Regions have been fighting for many years in Ethiopia to ensure self-governance, deciding on their fates, deciding on the their issues. So this ensures also, since the reformist government has taken, all the region has addressed it is concerning issues, also empowered and decide their fate without any interferences. So segment autonomy was ensured. The fourth one is minority veto. So in Ethiopia, minorities have also a veto power on the issues that concern them. Nobody will decide for them without their consent. So this is a democratic process in a way that, when from the day on, the reform government has been in place, our prime minister has put the roadmap. If you look into the speech he made, the first speech, which tried to outline, identify Ethiopia's main challenge, success story. One of the issues that we need to do is develop democratic system, which will be a solution for Ethiopia to live in peace with itself, with its neighboring. So this is, I can say that, one of the pillar issues that, the reform has addressed. The other is the economic issue, the social issue, the foreign issue. So I can say this one on this matter.
Good. Ethiopia is also undertaking, working on organizing national dialogue nationwide in order to heal some deep-rooted historical and political grievances among Ethiopians. Do you think this dialogue will help address the political confrontation in Ethiopia?
Look, Fikadu, one thing we need to know, in the previous, if you see in any country's nation building, state building, all of the nature, there are something similar at a global level. American has did revolution, the French revolutions, also, like in UK, many other developed country, all of them, they have gone through, all this nation building process. At a point, there is one book I've read, it is called Historical Memories and Political and Cultural Impacts, which is political governance and future of history. So this book, basically written by the British author, he tried to see how the historic memories has an impact on the contemporary political governance. So the same way, Ethiopia, since the reform has been in place, it has boldly admitted, Ethiopia's, there are some fractures within our society that need to be addressed: political issues, economic issues, social issues, cultural issues, historic issues. So that we need to sit down and properly discuss and decide and give a birth to a new horizon of Ethiopia that look like it is people, it is constituency. So this was a bold move by the, current reformist government, where they try to establish, in 2022, this very independent, professional and fair, commissions, which was led by, professionals, very, long-serving Ethiopians who have no political, affiliation to anyone, who are self-giving service to their nation. So that, it has been approved by the parliament. It has been become, legislation has been declared. So this neutrality, the power given to them is building, like a consensus in the country, and ensuring also, state continuity through, addressing the contemporary and historic matters that is at hand. So I do believe, and what so far, even achieved by National Dialogue Commission of Ethiopia, they have identified already, they have got 4 phases, which is preparatory phase, preparatory, then, like a dialogue phase, then implementation phase. So far, they have been doing a very wonderful things. They have identified already, they have developed structures, they have developed already, have got a full, functioning institutions. They have identified, issues so far, what kind of issues that Ethiopia should discuss, bring on board. So this is open for anyone from all walks. They have engaged all the political parties, the oppositions or contesting parties in Ethiopians, even those who have been, others, diasporas, all segments of, Ethiopia's, in different regions. So they have identified participants, agendas, and then, after that, what will be done. So they were not a decision maker. They are, creating a platform where all Ethiopians come together, discuss thoroughly, take time, and address these contemporary and historic issues, and give to a new birth to Ethiopia, which is very robust, strong, and that can, play its role in this changing global dynamics. I believe so. This is our duty as a professional, as, Ethiopian elite, all works to support them so that this will be successful and achieve the aspiration of Ethiopia's people to live in peace with one another.
Thank you, Ambassador. Let me bring you to diplomatic success over the past 6 years. Could you discuss the Ethiopia's diplomatic successes or achievements since Prime Minister Dr. Abiy Ahmed came to power in 2018?
Look, this one is a very critical issue especially for Foreign Office, as an ambassador of a nation. Looking back into Ethiopia, from the day one he started, his roadmap, his speech, the first inaugural speech, he lay out and give also a call for no war, no peace relationship with Eritrea, as you know, Fukadu. And he opened the door of peace in that corner, which was, like it has been a stalemate between the two nations for so long. So the first success story I can say is ensuring peace, fraternity, friendship with Eritrea is where, one of, the success story of the reformist, and also where our Prime Minister has got a Nobel Peace Prize for what he has done. The second issue is, I can say, is regional peace and integration. Our Prime Minister has tried to, bring the factions within South Sudan. His Excellency, Salva Kiir and Riek Machar, he will reach out to them. He bring, a lasting peace with them, where they have been, he bring fraternities, ensuring between them, so that South Sudan, what happening in South Sudan is directly affecting Ethiopia. The other one is also in Sudan itself. He tried to bridge, the military, transitional council and, the opposition, where he has assigned a special envoy to bridge that one. He did a very successful transition to civilian government in that aspect also. The other, success story we had is also he promotes regional integration in one case. So he tried to promote from day one, no, country has been developed in the world. So it is imperative for our region to ensure regional integration. Due to Ethiopia's, a center of gravity, it shares people, language, identity with all its neighbors. So it is very important to ensure regional integrations that will ensure peace and prosperity of Ethiopia. This is another success story that we can say. The fourth point is, it is champion on green legacy. Our Prime Minister, on day one he came on, in 2019, he initiated Green Legacy Initiative, where he, championed, and he has received also award from, African, outstanding from US for doing green legacy, for ensuring the leaderships, for where, Ethiopia has been striving to cover its planet, addressing, mitigating, adopting also the climate situation that is around us. The fifth point is also, I can say that, is our Prime Minister's role in peace and stability at global level, climate change, and sustainable development. If you see, our country has so far always stand for, ensuring international rule-based order by, contributing peacekeeping throughout the world, where the call comes under the helmet of United Nations. ATMIS is another case that we are, ensuring peace and stability in Somalia, in Sudan, in Abyei areas. So we have contributed a lot. He himself has been also, once upon a time, he's a peacekeeping. Last time, Rwandan has recognized his role, in ensuring peace in Rwanda. So he always gives strong sentiment for international peace. The other issue is his role in championing, in ensuring food security, nutrition, and self-sufficiency, where he received Agricola from United Nations Food and Agricultural Organization in Italy. So this is, the commitment where we start exporting wheat to our neighboring regions. Kenya, this is something where, the very paradigm shift of the role and that has been played by our Prime Minister. So above all, the international level issue, if you see, during his tenure also, what we have achieved as countries, we become joined BRICS. Ethiopia's joining of BRICS is another success story where Ethiopia can play its role in multilateralism, ensuring, fair, equitable, balanced representation through it is, long fostering diplomatic engagement at multilateral levels. The other is also another success story is access to sea issue. As you know, Fikadu, Ethiopia has been, due to the conspiracies from far and near, we have lost access to sea. And, he unlocked this taboo and become a national and regional and international agenda. So Ethiopia is one of the biggest, landlocked country. We can't be landlocked for the sake of ensuring peace, stability in the region, for the, the regional and the global role Ethiopia will play. So access to secure, safe, and sustainable sea is very imperative. He outreached to all our neighboring. The positive response we got from, our brotherly Somaliland is highly appreciable. So these are the factors that we can say, Ethiopia has achieved during, the premiership of our Prime Minister in foreign-related issues. One point is very important. That Pan-Africanism is another issue that our Prime Minister is a very champion. He has brought all, the future leaders of Africa, where he hosted, future leaders of Pan-Africanism to strengthen solidarity, unity, and also to cope up with post-colonial roles, where he brought all those elites of, African future leader, discuss matters of common interest, how to ensure, Pan-Africanism, solidarities, and fraternity. The last point I can say is also, he advocates for developing Africa's narration, developing Africa media house. Nowadays, as you know, the very important issue is selling, developing a narration which will change, the perspective of the global communities. Africa should have its own, he said, its own narrative development, which will strengthen horizontal and fraternity among, and also projecting its role at the global level. This is some of the, achievement that our Prime Minister has brought to this nation and to the globe.
Let me proceed to the next question. So what change has Ethiopia made on its foreign policy, and what impact is that change making? Would you discuss it?
Yes, I think one of the issues, since, our Prime Minister took office, one of the focus area he give attention is focus neighborly, giving priorities to our neighbor. Whatever happen in our neighbor, so it will have a direct impact for our national interest. So ensuring Ethiopia's national interest, so also while maintaining, our good neighbors, so that, through synergy of philosophy of Meddemer, so that we cannot be in a like island by our own. So we need to, develop horizontal, political, economic, social, and like regional integration matters, which become a top priority for our regions. So through that, we are sharing what we have. Emma, look, energy, one of the energy grid we are doing, already we are sharing energy with Sudan, Kenya, Djibouti. And we're also, we recently signed to share our, cheap and sustainable energy to Tanzania, through Tanzania, down all the way to South Africa. This is developing, regional integration through energy grid connectivities. This is one aspect. The second point we have brought is also Ethiopia should become, like a Pan-African country. It should be open and become also, a political head of African Union, Addis Ababa, as its name indicates. He was doing, like a development corridor, which was going on, which was transforming, and also a showcase for Ethiopia's prosperity, where all, African consider Addis Ababa, it is their home. So, BT. Second, also by, naming of, like different, and so that it look like Africa house, Africa's home to all Africans. So this is another perspective we are bringing. To that also, we have developed the African Leadership, excellence, Center of Excellency, where we train, Pan-Africanism, attitudes, thinking, all those things, so that also coping up with current and future challenges emerging in the region, so that we are also bringing this change. The third point is also making, like Addis Ababa, and also, like offering them ease of movement for people, through the Prime Minister guidance. We have achieved, all, Africans, they will get visa now online, which was a breakthrough to our, also engagement. Apart from this one, what is the core, issues that, Ethiopia's foreign policy is rolling is, one, ensuring peace, democracy with, its neighbor and at the global level also. We try to, as I said at the beginning, we try to promote peace, prosperities, and security of Africa and regions. I mean, at the international level, we try to play our great role in this aspect. The second point is also, we're trying to ensure also, resources that we have sharing with others. One of those is Ethiopia is, sharing almost around 11 rivers that crosses to our neighboring country. We try to, share whatever we had, so that also ensuring common objective and shared prosperity in that sense. The other point is also very vital for us is, economic diplomacy. Ethiopia's foreign policy gives top priority for economic diplomacy. We need to, attract FDI to our, through homegrown economic reform, so that it will also create this enabling environment for foreign direct investment to invest inside the country. Above all, Ethiopia foreign policy shift is citizen diplomacy. Previously, our focus on, looking into economic and all those politics, but citizen diplomacy is the critical. Wherever our prime minister go, visit a different country, he talk to the government, convinces them, bring them, Ethiopians along his, plan. That's never been happening even in the other world. This is an exemplary serving leadership quality of our prime minister, which focuses, which opens up Ethiopia's foreign, institutions, embassies at large to become a home, and also, a center for Ethiopians, where we look after, ensure the, security, safety of our citizens. Recently, we are also repatriating our citizens who have been in trouble in Kingdom of Saudi Arabia. So throughout all this Middle East, being others also, we are highly focused in maintaining, ensuring our security of our citizens. So these are some of the, the policy framework that we have injected and has brought also those success stories I have told you so far.
Thank you, Ambassador. So far, we have discussed some key achievements in diplomatic and political aspects. Let me come to economic aspects. As you know, the Ethiopian homegrown economic reform agenda aspires to make Ethiopia a beacon of African prosperity. Could you elaborate on how this national economic reform contributes to the prosperities of the entire continent beyond Ethiopia?
Yes. Look, Africa as a Pan-African country, we have been struggling since, Ethiopia's establishment. We have become a voice for voiceless. We have struggled and, supported many Africans against fighting apartheid, ensuring there is, independence. Continue with that spirit of Ethiopia. Ethiopia has developed, since the reformist government came, it developed homegrown, economic reform. So this homegrown economic reform pillars basically try to address, gaps in, macro level, structural level, and sectoral levels. This, trying to address all this one, so that it designed, a strong vision roadmap of 10 years, then it break down to 5 years, then it's also like that. So with this breakdown, we try to envision where we will take Ethiopia at the end of the day. So ensuring Ethiopia became a beacon of prosperity in Africa. Already we doubled our GDP within 5 years, as you know, Fikadu. This is a symbolic, also practical measures that the government has took. We said, we work out and then we deliver. This is the stand of the government. So we already ensure, double our GDP in the 5 years. What are these, success stories that Ethiopia has achieved in the way the policies have been framed? It begins in what we have at large. That is the land, people, and also resources that we have, how we can align this resource to change the economic, the political, the social, particularly then what we can also gain from abroad. So, like FDI, also getting, development, capitals from our partners. So we achieved this one. So we become a role model, also become economy of Ethiopia is now #1 in East Africa, 3rd in sub-Saharan country. We try to become very soon, inshallah, will become one of the leading economies in Africa. So this means already our Prime Minister also very champion for intercontinental Africa trade agreement. So we are a signatory and also we are a champion in this regard, try to achieve unities among Africans. So this one will open up Ethiopia's market for rest of Africa, for the globe, through also, synergy of Maddemer that we will share with our experience with the rest of our brothers, so that will lead to peaceful and prosperous Africa at the continental level.
Well, how will Ethiopia's inclusion in the BRICS plus bloc leverage its economy on both the continental and the global stage?
Look, it is very important to clear to our audience, joining of Ethiopia's BRICS is not replacement and substitution for other partnership that we have. It is very important to underline. Ethiopia joined the BRICS family so that it will bring also some, fostering already it is, skills, posture at multilateral levels. So as you know, BRICS focuses on 3 focus, cooperation pillar areas. One is politics and security. Ethiopia, since it is, inceptions, especially the reformist government come in place, it tried to promote Africa should get, permanent seat, in 2 permanent seats in United Nations Security Council. This is an agenda of Africa. It is an agenda of Ethiopia. This also, shared by other, also BRIC member, so do, reforms in global architects in a way that it will promote equity, balance, and representations at the global level, particularly United Nations reform that we call for. This is one area, so that also we ensure peace and stability in through everyone, so that the problem happening cannot be addressed one single or other. So it should need also inclusive and shared responsibility in that regard. The second one is, you mentioned the economic issue. Economy is very vital for our country. Ethiopia has got, very prosperous developing economies. Recent, prediction, as you know, by 2075, Ethiopia become one of the top economies in the world. So this is the prospect that Ethiopia has. At, this one, basically, so integrating into the BRICS family, that means it will attract a lot of investors. It creates also enabling business environment for them. It also attracts a lot of, tourism from that sector, so that it will already aligns with Ethiopia's, reformers. It will, foster and ensure Ethiopia's sustainable development, economic progress in that aspect. So it will get also finances from maybe new development bankers that will give also, for the emerging market and developing countries, while, managing the infrastructural gap that exists among them. So this will open another opportunity. The third pillar is, as you know, is, culture and people-to-people connection. So integrating into this means it is a lot of scholarships that, Ethiopia will get from in a different, BRICS members, where they can, integrate into the intellectuals and education, science, technology, energy perspectives, so that it will also increase, also recently Ethiopia has, our Prime Minister has, already inaugurated large startup Ethiopia, digital Ethiopia. So this completely aligned with our Ethiopia's, aspiration of roadmap of innovation and technology, science, technology, and innovation. So complete transformation so that we can get, skills, knowledge, and technical supporters from that aspect, while also exchanging artists, culture, so that it will also enable the peoples come together, creating a very peaceful international forum. So this is some of the benefits that I can say Ethiopia can gain from, and it has already, nominated Sherpa and also Sozi Sherpa that have already participated at the beginning of this year, in where the chairmanship of this year is Russia. They have been in Moscow for conducting this family discussion.
Thank you. How does the flip side of the Ethiopian economic reform agenda address the African Union's Agenda 2063 blueprint?
Look, as I try to mention, the economic reform of homegrown economic reform of Ethiopia, the main pillar is trying to address structural problem. Currently, we have developed 2.0, homegrown economic reform. It has got four pillar issues. One is addressing microeconomic issues that has a bottleneck to our nations. It has been successful stories, so it will work also redouble its efforts in addressing this one. The second point is also addressing the productivity area. So we need to, increase productivity, increase so that it lessen, also the inflation increasing by, production, so that it will get a surplus products. It will reduce inflation, plus also create, sustainable, exports for Ethiopias to balance the other one. The third point is creating, a sustainable environment for investment, foreign direct investment. It will try to create by, avoiding those bottlenecks, creating, like intercontinental regional incentives for any countries, companies who try to base themselves in Ethiopia. They will get, like cheap energies, skilled labors also at a comparative price, government supportive, which will try to increase a very good conducive foreign direct investment for them. The fourth point is getting, very robust, capable civil servant that can transform, completely aligned itself with the government policies, trying to achieve also create a very good, productivities in that sense through accountability, transparency, ensuring also giving a, reliable services to its public. So this kind of, reform 2.0 trying to address, this can also, if you look into, the Africa Agenda 2063 is the aspiration of Africans, which is like a blueprint, and it is a master plans of, transforming Africa into inclusive and sustainable development among themselves, while ensuring unity, solidarities, and also, getting prosperity, safety, and security. So Ethiopia's, already practice, successful stories can also be a component, and also it is also, signifies also the role Ethiopia plays in by itself, and also it is at Africa level. So it will ensure completely. We designed already our policies aligned along, this Agenda 2063 will, give free movement of people and goods services across, which is, we already a signatory for African Continental Free Trade Agreement. Visa online is already there. So integration of markets and the customs is already well in progress. We're also looking into to become, member in East African communities, IGAD integrations, through that also ensuring the whole unity among and solidarity among Africans.
Thank you, Ambassador. Finally, how do you envision the future of Ethiopian politics, and what message would you convey to the Ethiopian people?
It is very important for all Ethiopians to note and the historic juncture where we are now. Ethiopia, it has been undertaking reform. This reform we need to look into. It's trying to address the political fractures that Ethiopia has, the bottleneck. Sometimes I ask myself, Ethiopia exists for so long. If you look into the history, it is 3,000 history of, statehood. But looking where we are today. So we need to, there are something, always one comes, trying to start from zero so that. So let us sit down and identify our major challenges to our peace and stability. As the Prime Minister has recently held talks with all across Ethiopia's, community from north, east, west, and south, and center. All of them, they have expressed, solidarities, looking for peace and prosperity of Ethiopia, where they have shared the objective all this reform going to undertake. So we need to be very sober and also thoughtful and mindful and in trying to look into the current contemporary issues. Unless we, trying to address the issues that is at hand, especially peace. Our peace is very imperative, and peace is a cornerstone for all, our economic, social well-being, and cultural. So we need to have, clarities on this and play our role also in building peace in this, the nation. So Ethiopia is now undertaking, the party, one of the paradigm shift that we have brought under this reform is, inclusive governance structure, which is, nurturing inclusive governance structure and collective decision makings, especially with all the components of grand, Ethiopian coalition, even, giving, to opposition and also, like professionals who are not a party member. While it is, it has a right to ensure all, cabinet member to be, prosperity, but it shares with. This is one way that Ethiopia can, try to everyone bring on board, be part of, inclusive dialogue and decision making also, so that will build a robust and resilient country. So addressing the economy, addressing the, the democratic deficit that our country has. So democracy should be, like homegrown by itself, based on the values, beliefs, and, basic assumption of Ethiopians. So, which is completely, aligned with our values. So we need to maintain this very strongly. Second issue also, which is very important from all works of Ethiopians, so we need to also address the historic issues that's at hand through national dialogue commissions. This national dialogue commission is very important for, addressing the fracture that we have. We need to discuss, sit down, resolve our differences through peaceful means, dialogue, negotiations, struggles will not, no one will be a winner. And in 21st century, there is no, through, armed struggle you ensure. So it is better to notify that Ethiopia will only, anyone will be through peaceful means, and let us contribute for the well-being of our country, for the resilient economy, for the robust political system undertaking. Let us play our individual role so that our collective peace and prosperity will ensure at a national level.
Thank you, Ambassador Jemal Beker, Ambassador of Ethiopia to Pakistan. Thank you for your time and a deep insight on our program.
I really appreciate also for your time. Have a lovely day.
Dear viewers, that's all what we have for today. Till the next time, bye-bye.